Focus Creative Group, Robert Grossman is our presenter today, sharing his expertise and the workshop he created on video business-to-business power tips. Focus Creative is a full-service multimedia communications, marketing, and production company, bringing that important expertise in presenting a company's message visually, using the latest technologies to get the right kind of attention and the right positioning. Robert works with organizations to grow their businesses using state-of-the-art communications and multimedia technologies. We will have a Q&A session at the end of the presentation, so if you have questions, please ask them via the GoToWebinar tool on your screen, and we will try to address questions as they come in if they're pertinent to what's being discussed at the time. And if not, we will address them at the end. I think you will enjoy the presentation today. And now I'd like to turn the program over to Robert.
Joy, thank you very much for your introduction. I'm very excited about delivering this presentation because video is growing rapidly on the web, and you're going to just see how rapidly it's growing. But first, let's take a look at what makes video so powerful. Video is powerful because it enables you to deliver a clear and concise message in a format that is engaging and easy for people to share. That's what makes video so powerful on the web. To illustrate this, I want to share with you a quick case study from Salesforce.com. About 1.5 years ago, they created a video called "What is Cloud Computing?" That video has grown to over 200,000 views over the past year. It's interesting to see the trend because it's actually up to 7,500 views per day right now on the web. So when they launched it back in February, they had 350 viewers, but as time went on and it got more traction, it actually grew up to over 7,500 views per day. Now, what does that translate to? This is according to Salesforce.com. 7,500 video views a day is the same as having 46 hyper-efficient reps. It's important to note what a hyper-efficient rep is, and that is the average rep pitches 8 hours per day with no breaks. So in reality, it's a lot more than 46 hyper-efficient reps. So that's how Salesforce is using it, and their ROI on their video has been fantastic. Let's take a look at some statistics from the Wharton School of Business. Wharton came out and said that a well-produced video increases information retention by over 50% over print. They also found out that video speeds up the buying decision by 72% over a print brochure. Wharton also found that 80% of the viewers that have watched a video online, 52% of those people took some kind of action, whether it was purchasing a product or clicking through or signing up for a seminar or a webinar or a conference. Forrester did their own research, and they found that video increase on your website increases a front page landing on Google by 53 times. They also found that adding video into your emails, like as a link, increases click-through rate 2 to 3 times. So there's some very compelling, very powerful, compelling statistics, and I could actually fill a whole hour with just statistics about how successful video is, a well-produced video is, in B2B marketing. Let's take a look at the granddaddy of them all, of course, which is YouTube. YouTube says that they have, well, according to Nielsen net ratings, over 67.5 unique users in the U.S. alone. This is the sixth largest internet destination overall. I think it's actually increased to the third largest recently. And people watch hundreds of millions of videos a day on the service. Now, every minute, 10 hours of video is being uploaded to YouTube, but we have a problem. That statistic was actually from 2009, when I first started doing a presentation similar to this. If you look at today's number, They now estimate that over 48 hours of video is being uploaded to YouTube every minute. So I can't even imagine how many hours of video is being uploaded just during the time of this presentation alone. So the presentation is broken up into power tips, and the first power tip is evaluate ways to leverage your video. Well, I just came up with 10 for the purposes of this presentation, and there are many more than 10, but some of the big ones that I suggest to our clients is around branding. When we talk about branding, we're going to speak more about budget and quality of video and whatnot, but remember that whatever you put out there for your company in B2B marketing is about branding. Client testimonials is a fantastic use. Product demos, you're able to simplify complex demos and actually show people how it works. How-to and teaching videos is wonderful for professional services. If you're a lawyer, if you're in recruiting, if you're in the medical space, teaching people, doing short videos, little mini webisodes, if you will, on topics such as business litigation, contract negotiation, and whatnot, will allow people to learn just enough so they know that they need you. Lead generation is another very powerful use of video, especially with the influence of YouTube and other share sites. Replacing static bio pages with video allows people to come to your site and actually meet somebody and get to know them better than a static bio page will allow them to. It also allows you to put those video bios up on YouTube and various video sites, which also increases SEO. Video blogging, another very powerful tool, and you're going to see why that's growing in popularity. Recruitment and company culture. There is no better way to help illustrate and communicate the story of your company than through video. Of course, news and updates and presentations and white papers. Those are just 10. There are many, many more. Let's take a look at building blocks to a successful video. Power tip number 2 is define the purpose of your video. If you don't define the purpose of your video, you're very likely to put your audience to sleep. They will click off it and they won't be engaged. Defining your purpose is where you need to start in thinking about a video. What do you want to accomplish with it? So when you look at the purpose of your video, before you even hire a video production company, you might want to consider hiring a consultant or your public relations company, and start to envision what the storyboard for your video might look like. Define what you want to achieve or what outcomes you want from your video. Who is your target audience? How do they currently feel about your product or service? How do you want them to feel while watching this video? What obstacles do you have to overcome in order to connect with your audience? You should be specific and measurable in your outcomes. If you can figure out a way to measure the success of your video, everybody's going to have different measurements, then you can look at it afterwards and see if you did achieve ROI. If your only reason for creating a video is because the competitors and everyone seems to be doing it to save money, it's really not the best reason just to be the Me Too out there. You really need to think about it. Joy, do you want to add something?
No, I was going to mention that point too. It's not really about everybody's doing it. I hear a lot of that from our clients who are wondering, should we be doing this? And we really have to backtrack and look at their business goals and their marketing goals and how is this video going to support those. So it's really, really important not to just be jumping on the video bandwagon here because it's the current thing.
Excellent. What is the core message of your video? Define what you are actually selling or communicating. And this isn't limited just to a product or service. You may be selling a perspective, a change of attitude, or simply an awareness of your company. Whatever it is, you have to be very clear on your purpose. If you can't really define what your video is selling or communicating, you haven't yet defined its purpose. Again, without a purpose, you'll have a very difficult time getting people to watch your video. Also, call to action. Once you define the purpose of your video, the next step is really determine the call to action. In other words, what do you want them to do when the video is over? Very simply, this seems very basic, but it's surprising how many businesses really fail to think about this or hone in the call to action. A lot of people are afraid about the call to action because it may seem too salesy. But a call to action doesn't have to be salesy at all. It could be simply sign up for our webinar or our conference, or buy your tickets today, or download our white paper, or whatever it might be. My suggestion is that if you're not selling a specific product or service and you're using the video for engagement purposes, have them sign up for some type of autoresponder or ongoing newsletters or something like that that you can keep and continue to engage people with. So power tip number 3 is the B word, the budget word. I was thinking about the budget word that it always seems like I'm in a psycho movie when people bring this up, because they never want to address it. They always want to keep their budget hidden from the production company. And that's really not a smart thing to do. And I'll share why. Part of the initial planning must include the budget for your project. There's so much variation in video production. You'll be wasting time and spinning your wheels if you attempt to take the next steps without really knowing how much you have or you're willing to invest. Really creating a video is similar to building a house. That's why I use these 2 pictures in here. Depending on the size, the fixtures, the materials used, the cost of building a home will have a significant range, and video is no different. There are companies that have figured out how to cookie cut videos like track homes, and companies who will create a custom video just for you. Get your production team involved. An experienced team will know where it's best to use your budget and what you can do without it to make the biggest impact with a smaller budget. And the reason why I bring this up and why it's important is it really is about spending your time wisely and getting the most out of your production company. If you only want to spend $5,000 on a video, tell your production company ahead of time, because they will figure out a way to make the best out of that video, but they're not going to lead you down the path of hiring professional talent and set design and all that other stuff that really makes videos look great as well too. So budgeting is critical. As I mentioned, there are different ways to do video. There's the solo video person who comes out and shoots their video and maybe they edit, and then there's the whole production team. And the second example is a shoot that we did in a green screen facility. So there are really basically 3 steps to video production, and again, it's no similar than building a home. There's pre-production, production, and post-production. Pre-production is the creative, the budgeting, and the planning for your video. It's where a lot of the obstacles that are known will be revealed. It's where you choose the right team. It's where you hire the right talent. It's where you choose the location of where you're going to shoot the video. No different than an architect designing a blueprint for a future home. Production is similar to shooting, and media production is similar to building the actual home. It's where all the content is generated. It's the shooting. Now it's animation. It could be media production or audio production. It's pulling together all the different, or creating all the different assets that are going to go into your video. And post-production, also known as editorial and finishing, is really where the art and the magic occurs in video print production. Editorial is where the all the components are edited and brought together, and graphics are added, and it's such an important part of video production. Let's look at typical teams. On your pre-production team, you typically have a producer, somebody who's making everything happen, a director, a creative director, and a script writer. And nowadays, oftentimes, the director is also the creative director, and sometimes you even have a producer who's a director and a creative director. But this is a typical pre-production team that you might see. Typical production team, you have a director, a camera operator, who's also doing lighting. Sometimes you'll have a separate lighting person entirely. You'll have somebody who's doing audio, making sure that the sound is perfect. If it's a pre-written script, a teleprompter and teleprompter operator. Makeup is critical for video. HD makes makeup even more important, because HD is beautiful, but it also shows every single skin flaw in too much detail. And then you might have some production assistants and techs that are helping move equipment around and keep things organized. You may also have a script supervisor, which isn't on there. If it's a longer video, a script supervisor can save a tremendous amount of time in post-production as well. Your typical post-production team, the director might be involved. For sure, you can have an editor, graphics, you can have somebody who's going to be sweetening the audio and maybe producing additional audio and also music. Audio might also be voiceover. Joy?
Now, in knowing that in the last few years especially, things have gotten very streamlined, I think some of these positions, might be within the same individual. So we do want to point that out, but this really identifies what the specific functions are, too, that you need to have when you're thinking about the video in these 3 stages.
Yeah, absolutely. Most of my editors are now editing. They're doing their own graphics work. They're creating audio and music. I listed them separately only because when the graphics get a lot more complicated, then we may bring in a separate graphic artist to create them. Under music, nowadays there's such a large selection of licensing or royalty-free music out there that it's rare that we have to create custom music, but nothing makes a video better than creating a custom soundtrack for the video. But it is more expensive, but it's very powerful as well. Power tip number 4 is, well, work with professionals. And remember I said that Wharton said a well-produced video generates the results that they talked about. So, little tongue-in-cheek, 5 ways that you can mess up your video. And of course, the first one is don't hire an experienced team. Sure, we don't need anybody to orchestrate all the details and ensure our video is successful. We have plenty of people in-house that have created home movies. Why can't we use them? Why bring in a team who knows how to avoid? Why bring in a team who knows how to avoid all the traps of producing videos and who have access to experienced pros? Oh, I'm sure my son and daughter has friends from high school who can help us. I did not make those up. Those are things that I've actually heard from clients. In fact, the next couple of slides are actual things that I've heard from people.
And, this is a good time maybe to bring up, this is analogous what's going on today, is that we have all of this technology available. So it does give us the capability of doing things ourselves that we never could before, just like when graphic became available online too, and we could make our own brochures, and a lot of people, I heard some of these same things, we could figure this out ourselves. But having the capability of some of the technology doesn't necessarily confer the understanding of how to use that technology to create something that really accurately and positively reflects your brand. And I think that's a key point here too, as we're looking at all of these, as Robert said, the real things people are thinking at this point in time. Yes, you could do that, but is that really going to give you ultimately what you want for your business? So go right ahead.
Thank you. Now, I've had some clients that have said, just turn the camera on and I'll start talking, and they've nailed it. But that's probably the 1% of all people that I've worked with in the past. Some people, they don't want to go through the process of creating a script or a storyboard or questions to prompt an interviewee. And what happens in this situation is typically you forget about who your viewer is. And the video ends up not being about them, but about the presenter. So, site visits. This is where we go out before we shoot and look at the location and check it out. It makes no difference if there's a lot of background noise or if there are distractions in the background. There are many videos that I've seen where people just set up a camera and started shooting, and there are people in the background. You can see them going, "Hi, Mom!" and they're waving in the background. They think that it's a news crew or something like that. Also, you deal with noise issues and inappropriate lighting or whatnot. So doing a site visit will save a tremendous amount of money before the video shoot. Use a flip camera. Flip cameras are becoming very powerful, and I just heard about a movie that's coming out that was actually completely filmed on a Nokia smartphone. Dying to see the quality of it. The biggest challenge with a flip camera is not even really the quality of the video, it's the quality of the audio. A flip camera has no way to plug in a professional microphone. So the only way around that is to record audio separately on a separate device, and then in post-production match up the audio track to the video track. One of my top videographers shared with me that a major public utilities company who he's done work with over many years, called them up and said, we're going to use flip cameras on our next shoot, and we need your help with audio only. Well, that whole process ended up costing them far more money and anxiety than if they just used a professional camera with professional audio. And the fifth is have your admin or son or daughter or nephew edit the video on Movie Maker. Post-production is just as important as any other aspect of it, and a professional editor who understands the communications process, who's skilled in messaging and marketing and communications and branding, really makes a huge difference in post-production. Let's take a look at post-production and editorial for a moment. This is one area that's often most mysterious to a client because they don't see it. I liken it to the man behind the curtain from The Wizard of Oz. And that really is that's how I view my editors, as just wizards. I've tried editing before. I enjoy the process, but it really takes a special type of person with special skills to edit. To illustrate that, imagine the following scenario. We're interviewing a CEO or a few different company members, and we shoot 2 to 3 hours of raw footage. And the goal is to edit down that raw footage to a 2-minute video. Imagine the process of going through 3 hours of raw footage and picking out the best performances, the best points of the people that are being interviewed, and then splicing those together, if you will, to create a story, to come up with the right graphics and branding and the right music that is appropriate for that video. Take somebody who is very skilled. Now if you add in 2 cameras or 3 cameras, now we're up to 6 hours and 9 hours of raw video footage and edit it down to that 2-minute video. It's a time-consuming process. It is a creative process. And much of the process happens in real time, meaning that viewing 2 to 3 hours of video takes 2 to 3 hours of time. It just doesn't happen in a faster way. We're going to move on to the back end of video, if you will, or online video, which is distribution. So you've invested in video, you've created video, you have video. How do you make money from it? How do you grow your business from it? Well, as I mentioned, YouTube is the granddaddy of them all, and it provides a very powerful and successful service. But there are also other video sites, and this is only some of them. There's Vimeo and Dailymotion. There are sites like iFood TV that are more specific to food, obviously. There's Break, which is more specific to funny videos or entertaining type videos. And the list of video sites continues to grow. And it's important to post on YouTube, but you may also want to take advantage of other sites as well. A tool that I use, which is power tip number 5, is a website called tubemogul.com. They have a free service and they have a paid service. I use their free service right now, and tubemogul.com allows me to open up video hosting accounts on all the different sites and then upload video one time from TubeMogul to all those sites. So I just created this last night for the purposes of this presentation. And this is a screenshot from TubeMogul, and if you see that I created a title, now that title is not SEO optimized, I admit it. It should contain a little more information about what the video is, and then the description should as well. And you also notice, I'll touch upon this again, that my URL is right here in the description. If you look down below, I added in some meta tags, and this shows you how the meta tags are going to look on all the different sites. Again, this is a huge time saver because I'm able to upload my one video to all the different sites I want to participate in one time with meta tags, as well as giving it the right category as well too. Now there are other features of TubeMogul, such as you can see which sites are getting the most play. When I looked at mine last night, so I'm on about 6 or 7 different sites. I think YouTube was like 81%, and the rest made up the difference. I think Vimeo was the next largest, and then after that, everything was really small. But by far, YouTube has the biggest play. So tubemogul.com, major power tip, major time saver, and if you want to pay for the service, It's not inexpensive, but the information that you get from it is incredibly valuable. Now, power tip number 6 is something more that I do personally. I tend to use YouTube and Vimeo most. And the reason why is you got to be on YouTube because YouTube is the largest video hosting site. I don't necessarily like embedding videos from YouTube on my site though, although that might be short-sighted because the more inbound links back to YouTube, the better it is. But YouTube also will not allow me to, I haven't figured out a way at least, to hide the YouTube logo. I think they may have just added this, but in the past, YouTube would automatically bring up like videos that are like your video. So if you happen to be in the headhunting world, you may get videos from other placement agencies that are brought up right on your website, which is not a good thing. Vimeo, I've used their professional account. It costs $9.95 a month. It allows me to remove the Vimeo logo from it. It also allows me to tell Vimeo what to do after the video is done playing. I can tell Vimeo to bring up like videos from all of Vimeo, or like videos from my channel only, or to go back to the beginning of the video. Also allows me to do certain things like prevent embedding or allow embedding and downloading and various different things. I also use Vimeo when we're previewing videos with clients. I'll upload Vimeo and be able to put privacy on it and put a password on it so it can be streamed for client previews. Power tip number 7 is inbound links and embedding. With YouTube, when someone embeds your video, it counts as an inbound link. And if you know anything about SEO, you know that inbound links can really bump up the SEO power. So by getting more people and more websites to not only link to your video, but also to embed it, your video will rank higher in search engine results. Again, increasing how many people see that video. And this is a really good point about video blogging, that if your video blogging is informational and it's helping people, people will want to embed it on their video blogs or their blogs as well too. So you want to make sure also that you let people know about your video, but that you also ask people to link back to it and embed it on their website. So you can invite people to do that. Same thing with blogging, by the way. There are people that blog about topics and they're hungry for content. And if you put them on an email list, and when you post a new video blog or a new video you think that they might want to share, they will blog about it because they want to blog several times a day in order to make money. You can help also with inbound links yourself by making sure that you embed your own video on your Facebook profile and Facebook business pages, Twitters, your website, your blog, and anywhere else you can think of. Very powerful. Power tip number 8, I kind of addressed this already, but it's adding your URL into the description. Here's a description on Vimeo, and you can see right up front I put in my URL back to my website, so somebody can find me easily just based on my descriptions as well. In terms of embedding, this is an example of a YouTube screenshot, and I simply clicked the share button right here, and now YouTube will automatically give you a short link. And then I clicked on embed, and when I clicked on this code came here. And this is the code that I would use to embed in a blog, on my website, or code that I would share with other people. And this is where somebody would go and get the code to embed on their blog or website. Power tip number 8 is using highly searched and relevant keywords. You want to set up highly searched and relevant keywords as tags for the videos that you upload. By using the right tags, your video is more likely to come up as an associated video that could work into your advantage. What this means is that when someone's watching another video, your video can then show up as one of those related videos that comes up on the right side of your screen. By making sure your video has the right tags to show up next to similar videos, you can get even more people to see your video. Now, this does take research, and it does take somebody who understands SEO. I know YouTube just launched a new tool that can help you with this as well too.
And also, when you're thinking about search terms, there's definitely been a trend to people searching more under phrases versus words. So think about that too. For example, For my company, one of the key search phrases is healthcare public relations versus just healthcare or public relations, which are too broad. But by being strategic in that way and thinking about how would people be looking for your service, you can come up with more relevant keywords.
Also, just think about your own habits. Think about how you search for things. Think about the words that you use to find something, and when you use a successful phrase or words, what comes up. That just, if you look at your own habits, then you will start using using better search words. Another word for it is they call it long tail search strings. So that's a word that you might see or a phrase used on the internet. Ratings and comments is an interesting area. The more people that the more people who rate and comment on your video, the more likely it will be brought up in a search as well. It increases the SEO. The number one way to do this is, as I mentioned earlier, is making high quality and impactful videos. But you can even ask people, you can actually remind people to rate your video or to write a comment. Involve people, ask them to write comments. Now this is a double-edged sword because you also may get comments that you may not want to have on there, so you need to monitor it or have somebody monitor that, and if somebody is spamming you, then just you can delete it or mark it as spam. I did a video for a business leader in Los Angeles. We posted it on a website, on YouTube, sorry, and when I went and looked at it, I saw some of the comments, and obviously there were some disgruntled employees who saw this video and made some really rude comments. I just marked it as to prevent them from ever commenting on my channel again. So you have to, just like with blogging and everything else, you have to monitor this. Social media and video. I don't know if you've noticed this, but boy, in the past couple of months, I've noticed a dramatic increase in the number of videos that are being posted on Facebook. So social media is a wonderful way of getting your video out there. And by sharing it on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, and different video share sites, your video will gain better traction and have more people watching it. Now, some people will upload their videos to Facebook. That's one way of doing it. I don't remember what Facebook's limitation is on this. I prefer to upload my videos to, again, YouTube or Vimeo and the other sites, and then using the YouTube link or YouTube embed and put that into Facebook instead. That way I'm just driving more traffic back to my YouTube channel. LinkedIn and video is a little bit tough these days. You can't embed a video directly into your LinkedIn profile. You have to use something like SlideShare or Google Presentations to do it, and there is a way around it. I haven't started doing it because my experience so far is that it's not dependable and I don't like the way it looks. So we're on the power tip number 11. This is a subspecialty in its own right, and that's test your videos. You can test anything really by using unique landing pages. I used, so what this means is when you upload a video to YouTube, the chances of somebody finding that video, if you have the right meta tags, all that kind of stuff in there, is pretty high. They watch the video. Now what is the call to action? And if you create unique landing pages, then you can measure the success of the video. Now we know that if they click someplace, you can look at Google Analytics and say, wow, this increased the visits to this page. But unless you have some kind of call to action on that page, you won't really know if your video is successful in converting people to followers, to potential B2B prospects, or even if you're B2C or nonprofit, if it's working or not. So again, this is a subspecialty in its own right, and but a very powerful way to test your videos. Power tip number 12 is storytelling and creating emotion. And I have a picture of Steven Spielberg and E.T., and by no means am I suggesting that your videos have to be like E.T., but to illustrate what I mean by storytelling and creating emotion is really what video is best at doing, is storytelling and creating emotion. This goes back to one of the earlier topics that we talked about, which is hiring professionals who understand how an audience reacts to things and who understands how to bring things together so you can tell a story and you can create emotion, whether that emotion is is joy, happy, guilt, or whatnot. It doesn't really matter. Creating emotion creates buy-in. Storytelling. Steve Jobs, may he rest in peace, is one of the best storytellers around in modern times. But storytelling has many components to it, and here's just a few. Of course, you need a beginning, middle, and end. We all learned that in high school English. What is the message, and how does that message relate to your audience? Are you creating emotion of some sort, whether that emotion is joy or sadness or, again, guilt or oh my God, I need this, I can't live without it, or I really need to talk to these people. Visuals. Your visuals are very important. People disregard visuals often. Audio and music make a huge difference in storytelling. On the web, keeping it short. We used to say a nice web video is about 3 to 5 minutes long, and now we're looking at 45-second to 90-second videos. You can go a little bit longer, again, if the topic is compelling. If it's a training video, definitely go longer. But for marketing and branding videos, for the most part, I think shorter is better. Graphics and text can make a big difference in storytelling as well. We created a video for a nonprofit, and it was mostly text. It was almost all text with voiceover. It's very powerful. And of course, entertainment value of your product as well too can really aid with storytelling. Power tip number 12 is some common pitfalls that we've seen out there over the years. Number one pitfall, not number one, there's no particular order here, but poor audio or picking up ambient noise. The trend with a lot of the more prosumer cameras and do-it-yourselfers and even lower-end videographers is they will bring their camera out, but they won't hook up a microphone. Some of the lower-end prosumer HD cameras really don't accept or don't have the right inputs for professional audio. And what that means is you're using the microphone that's on the camera. If you have an inexpensive camera, that camera is going to be designed to pick up general ambient noise in the room. If you spend more money on a camera, and now we're looking at in the multiple thousands of dollars, then you may have a microphone or get an upgrade to an on-camera microphone that has a very narrow focus and will pick up somebody's voice without picking up too much ambient sound. Ambient noise can ruin your video, and poor audio can also disengage people. Lighting's another big issue. You don't need to have thousands of lights like they do in Hollywood to make it look good, but poor lighting will destroy your video. Also, not knowing the type of light that's in the environment that you're filming in could cause a lot of problems. As I mentioned earlier, background distractions. I know an individual who's producing a lot of video blogs, and he likes to do it on his balcony or in different places where there's a lot of background commotion going on, people walking down the street, planes flying overhead, cars driving by, and it's just really distracting. Length is critical. Again, we're now looking at 45 seconds to 90 seconds. If you're involving other people, having talent release forms is mandatory. The reason is if somebody sees their likeness on your video and they think you've made money from it, they can take you to court and they can sue you for revenue, and it will be based on what a court determines you made on that video. Nowadays, enjoy, this is an area that your firm, I'm sure, is very attuned to, but HIPAA or privacy laws with video is important. So if you're filming in a hospital or in any kind of environment, you have to make sure that everybody that is going to be seen on that screen wants to be on that screen. I actually talked to one CEO, and part of their employment application is each employee signs over their likeness. They are allowed to film in there, and they agree that they can be used on their videos.
Yeah, that's a very good idea. HIPAA is critical in any kind of situation that might touch on a person's medical records or medical history. And it's critical, I think, we do this a lot, is to get the person's agreement up front. Because many times if you're asking a patient, for example, to participate in a video, they don't really know what's involved, and they don't really realize perhaps that it could appear anywhere. And that having that discussion way before the shoot is very, very important, and even getting them to sign those consent forms. And as Robert was saying, even with employees, and you may feel that, well, you know, it's my employee or it's my family member or my dear friend, but people's situations change. That employee may no longer work there next year. And that, believe me, happens every day. So very, very important to get their agreement and get them to sign even before the shoot. And make sure that you have someone who's responsible for these forms and that they're all collected and they're all kept on file.
Great. I see that some people are starting to ask questions, and we're going to be moving into our Q&A section here momentarily. So if you do have questions on the GoToWebinar control panel, there's an area where you can start typing in questions, and again, we'll do our best to answer as many questions as we can. Now, I brought up these 3 slides or 3 pictures just to prove a couple different points. The Blair Witch Project movie was really the first one that used a grungy look to their videos and to the movie. And we often, when we're meeting with a client, say, well, we want a grungy look. What they're really saying is that they don't want an overproduced look. Grungy is a style, and grungy can be done professionally and done very well and still has that feeling of not being overly produced. We just produced a series of videos for the Patrick Soon-Shiong Innovation Awards, and the goal was to create videos that were not grungy but that were not overly produced, so it looked more real, as if we walked in off the street with a camera and interviewed the CEOs. But we took great care to make sure that each one of the companies looked great on video, and that the Patrick Soon-Shiong Innovation Awards, which was also sponsored by the Los Angeles Business Journal, looked great, sounded great, and were well produced. The second picture is really poor lighting. They set up a camera, and this one it looks like, and there's a lot of backlighting coming in, and they didn't use any forelighting to overpower it, so the person is kind of hidden in the shadows, if you will, more silhouetted. And of course, our picture of an audience falling asleep is ones that we really want to avoid, obviously. So key takeaways from this presentation. Video is booming on the web. It is growing by leaps and bounds. There are high-quality videos being done. There are low-quality being done. There are people using it wisely, people who don't understand it, but it is booming. Critical to define your purpose of your video before you spend any money. Now, there are companies like Scott PR and Focus Creative Group that can work with you to come up with the purpose of your video and the outcomes and everything like that beforehand as well. Know your budget. Knowing what you want to invest, sharing it up front with your production company will save everybody a lot of time and a lot of angst. Optimize your videos for search by the tips and techniques that we discussed in this webinar. Using social media sites to distribute your video is a very powerful tool. Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, all the different social media sites out there. Quality does matter. Remember, it is your brand that you're putting out there. Storytelling is important to creating an engaging video, and remember who your audience is. Know who you're trying to attract. Know what's important to them, and craft your message around that, and your success rate will go up. And finally, a little shameless plug here, hire a professional production team to help you with your video. Focus Creative has won over 30 industry awards for quality of production, but also for messaging. We tend to submit our work to award programs that focus on marketing effectiveness, communication effectiveness, and also for quality. So that is the end of our formal part of the presentation, and we're going to start looking at some of the questions right now. We absolutely encourage you to reach out and contact us if you need help. We're 2 companies that work together on projects, and we also have our own specialties as well. And we'd love to learn more about what you guys need. Let's take a look at some questions. So, one question is, how does the length of your finished video affects the success on your website? Well, as I mentioned before on length is very important only because people get bored and they will click off and they won't watch the end of it. So you may want to consider an old sales analogy or metaphor of, are you selling the steak or are you selling the sizzle? And if your video is designed to get somebody to click through and call you or sign up for something, then you may want to consider a shorter video and really focus on the sizzle. If it's more of a how-to or a webinar or something like that, then you can go with a longer video.
And remember, too, that we're increasingly a visual society, and our attention spans with the Internet have been getting shorter and shorter. So, while you may feel you have incredibly wonderful, fascinating information, just remember for your audience, it may even be better to do more than one video, to parcel that out in smaller chunks so that you get more viewership and less people just giving up because they move on to something else.
Absolutely. We got one question that is asking about the type of equipment to use and the Yeti microphone. Honestly, I don't know what the Yeti microphone is. Sorry. And maybe the person who asked that question, if you want to write another question or do a chat about that, I can describe what that Yeti microphone is. The question is really based on, I think, people doing their own work, and can you use a low-end camera and a microphone? I've been debating this a lot. I've actually not been video blogging as much as I want to, because in order for me to video blog, I need to go into a studio if I want it to look like the videos that I produce for my clients. If I video blog myself, I'm going to use a lower-end camera with good sound, though, and I'll probably shoot that in my office or maybe outside someplace. And I think that video blogging is actually the one place that you can kind of bend the rules a little bit and do it yourself. I think you can use the built-in cameras on your laptops or a web camera to do video blogging. That's the one area that I would actually bend the rules, and maybe we'll start bending that rule more for myself. I actually did a video blog about 8 months ago, and I titled it "The Cobbler's Son Finally Had Shoes," because I started video blogging after I recommended it so much. Somebody asked, what does long tail mean? Long tail really is a search string. So instead of just putting in a single word like video, you might put in a search string that is video for public relations, or video production company, or a green screen production company. Put in more search words, because that's how a lot of the SEO consulting companies are doing it now. They're recognizing that people aren't going to Google, and typing in a single word. They are typing in a set of words, a phrase, and that's what we call long tail. So I think that's all the questions that we have right now, unless anybody has any more questions. I want to thank you for attending our webinar this morning. Wait, I think we got a few more that just came in. Oh, okay. A Yeti microphone, also known as Yeti Pro, supposedly the best USB microphone on the market. And I'm going to, hope you don't mind, I'm going to say this is from Ted Whetstone. And the URL for the Yeti microphone is www.bluemic.com/Yeti, Y-E-T-I. Thank you, Ted. I appreciate that. I'm going to look into that myself, and I'll be able to report back on what that is as well. One more question. Do you have customers that have tried this on their own but ended up coming to you, and what were the results? Yes, that has happened often, where people came to us first, we gave them a proposal, they tried to do it on their own, and then they came back to us later on and said they tried to do it, they couldn't make it look right, it took them too much time, it drained too many resources, and they did end up engaging us. I do fear that many people who came to us and decided to do it on their own may have been embarrassed to come back to us. afterwards, but they shouldn't have been, because I understand the trend. Joy brought up a great example of desktop publishing. I think years ago when desktop publishing came in, I engaged in it and I started designing my own brochures, and I realized that I wasn't a graphic designer, so I stopped doing my own and I hired a professional instead. So a few more questions are coming in. Let's see. So how do I tie my video product into a PR campaign? Joy?
Okay, that's a great idea. What we want to do in that instance is, as we covered in the video, what's the goal here? And to really craft the video, making sure that it has the appropriate messaging for you. And we, for example, PR-wise, even announce the availability of the video. That then becomes a news release. These news releases are very effective in driving traffic to the video, and they have a long life online as well. So in addition to all of the techniques that we used to disseminate the video to your target audiences, the news release is another one. In addition, PR-wise, we send it directly to your customers. We can use it directly to send directly to your prospects. We also use it with the news media. The news media, their interest is very strongly video driven these days, and the more that we can really tell your story directly to them, the more likely it is that they will be interested in doing it themselves. So we find that video is an incredibly powerful tool with the news media. In fact, many of them ask for it right off the bat. So that's another reason why we're really big fans of the well-produced video, is that it's very powerful in driving your PR campaign.
Yeah, we did a series of videos for a medical device launch about 1.5 years ago, and part of the process was also creating clips that we could load up to an FTP site, and the media can download that if they want to do a story on the product. And better to give it to them and how you want it to look and how you want it to be, rather than having them make it themselves. And I use a service where I'm able to track who's downloading videos from different folders, and for 3 or 4 months after we released these clips, it was daily, if not multiple times a day, there were different people downloading these clips to be used in their news reports or on their own short video and video blogs. So creating that and making it accessible to media, to bloggers, to whatnot, is really a great way of controlling the message, if you will, at least controlling how your product or service is delivered. Somebody asked a question. This is a webinar on using video, and we didn't show any videos, and that is correct. We did not show videos, and the reason why is currently the GoToWebinar or all webinar technology is streaming at about 7 frames a second, and video typically streams or is at 24 to 30 frames a second. So if I had played a video, it would have looked even worse than the old movies, old Charlie Chaplin movies. It would have been very jerky, it may have stalled, and the presentation wouldn't have been very effective. If you want to see some samples of videos, by all means, we have just about almost all the videos we've produced for our clients over time on our website. We blog about the videos, and I've broken them up into categories as well too, so you can see some samples of different types of videos. Not all those videos were used on the web. Some of them were used for other purposes as well. So Joy, it looks like there are no more questions out there from our virtual audience. We want to thank you for attending today's webinar. We will be posting this webinar as a video in the next week, and you will be receiving a survey email automatically, and we'd really appreciate your feedback and what you liked and what you didn't like and what you want to see. There's a comment section in there. Please let us know what other types of webinars you'd like to see us do. We do have a calendar. We have other ones coming up. We're going to be talking about push-pull marketing. We're going to talk about presentation, how to deliver effective presentations. We're going to do more on social media, and based on some feedback we've already received on this workshop, we may do an additional webinar that just focuses on how to leverage YouTube in order to distribute your message. With that, I want to thank you again. Joy, any parting words?
Oh, thank you very much. And as Robert said, we will have this webinar posted shortly on our website. And we will also be posting the last webinar we did, which was about LinkedIn techniques. It was very popular. So we really look forward to your suggestions about what you'd like to see for other programs. And thank you for participating.
Take care, everybody. Have a great day.